Good morning, guys, and here we are back with Stargirl. So we're getting into the love. All right, here we go. Chapter 17, page 85. Just 2 weeks before, I had found out she knew my name, and now I was loopy with love. I was floating. I floated up the white light that washed my sheets and swept on the moon. In school, I was a yellow balloon, smiling and lazy, floating above the classrooms. I felt a faint tug on my string far below, and Kevin was calling. "You're in love, dude!" I merely smiled and rolled over and drifted dreamily out a window. This state lasted until lunch, when suddenly I became self-conscious. I was certain that everyone in school knew. They would be waiting for me, turning as I entered the lunchroom, staring. They would be waiting for me, turning as I entered the lunchroom, staring. I was uncomfortable with the spotlight, always had been. I was happy to stay behind the camera and let Kevin take the bows out front. So I hid. Oops, sorry, I wasn't even close to the camera. Sorry. So I hid for those 35 minutes in the gym equipment room. I sat atop a rolled wrestling mat, kicked a volleyball against the opposite wall. I had nothing to eat, and I had intended to buy, but I wasn't hungry. After school, we found each other. Not that we had to look. She took Cinnamon from her bag and put him on her shoulder. "Shake paws with Leo, Cinnamon." Cinnamon and I shook paws. "Do you believe in enchanted places?" she said. Enchanted means like magical. "You talking to me or the rat?" She smiled and she dazzled. "You." "I don't know," I said. "I never thought about it." "I'm going to show you one. What if I don't want to see it?" There we go. Better. "What if I don't want to see it?" "You think you have a choice?" She grabbed my hand and almost pulled me off my feet, laughing out loud, and we flew across the school field, swinging hands for all the world to see. We walked for miles, past the business park, Mechatronics, the golf course, into the desert. "Look familiar?" she said. By now, Cinnamon was riding on my shoulder, and I was carrying the ukulele, strumming nonsense. "It's where we came that day," I said. She gave a snort. "We? I was coming out here, and you were a half-mile behind." She poked my shoulder, sneaking after me. She poked me again, hard this time, but her eyes were twinkling, stalking me. I acted horrified, hurt. Stalking? I was not stalking. I was just lagging behind a little, that's all. Following me. I shrugged. So? Why? I could feel a million reasons, but there were no words to express them. I don't know. You liked me. I smiled. You were smitten with me. You were speechless to behold my beauty. You had never met anyone so fascinating. You thought of me every waking minute. You dreamed about me. You couldn't stand it. You couldn't let such a wonderfulness out of your sight. You had to follow me. I turned to Cinnamon, and he licked my nose. "Don't give yourself so much credit. It was your rat I was after." She laughed, and the desert sang. To the person who expects every desert to be barren meaning empty, sand dunes, the Sonoran Desert must come as a surprise. Not only are there no dunes are like hills, there's no sand. At least not the sort of sand you would find at the beach. The ground does have a sandy color to it, or gray, but your feet won't sink in. It's hard, as if it's been tamped. Tamped means like packed down. And pebbly, like little rocks. And glinted with what else? Mica. Mica is a type of substance. It's a stuff in the dirt, and you can pull it out and you can make electronics. It's what they have to use to make like a lot of electronic stuff. And countertops, actually. My countertops are made out of mica. Yeah, Google it. Learn more about mica. Here we go. But you don't notice the ground much. What you notice are the saguaros, which are the giant cactuses. To the newcomer from the east, it's as simple as that. The desert seems to be a brown wasteland of dry, prickly scrub, whose only purpose is to serve as a setting for the majestic saguaros. Then, little by little, the plants of the desert begin to identify themselves. The porcupiney yucca, the beaver tail, and prickly pear. Ooh, please look up prickly pear. It's really pretty. I'll put a bunch of pictures on my next email. And barrel cacti. Buckhorn and staghorn and devil's fingers. the tall, sky-reaching tendrils of Ocotillo. We walked in weaving lines around the plant life, up and down washes and gullies, and the Maricopas, which are the mountains, looming lavender, almost purple, in the distance. When you turned and ran that day, she said, I called after you. You did? I whispered. Whispered? How'd you expect me to hear? I don't know, she said. I just thought you would. I strummed the uke. I squared my shoulders. Giving a rat a ride improves your posture. You're shy, aren't you? She said. What makes you think that? She laughed. You were embarrassed when I pulled you along after school today. All those kids looking? Nah, you're lying. Yeah. She laughed. I seemed to be good at making her laugh. I glanced back, and the highway was out of sight. Do you have time? I said. Nobody has the time, she said. The time cannot be owned. She threw her arms out and twirled in her multicolored skirt, looking like a pinwheel taffy. It's a type of candy. The time is free to everyone. Sorry I asked, I said. She hung her sunflower bag on a cactus arm and cartwheeled into the Maricopas. Crazily, I felt like joining her. I told myself I couldn't because I was loaded down with the ukulele and the rat, and I picked up her bag and followed. When she decided to walk like a normal human again, I told her she was goofy. She stopped and turned to me and bowed grandly. Thank you, good sir. Then she took my arm as if we were strolling down the promenade. She said, Scream, Leo. Huh? Just throw your head back and let it out. Scream your ears off. Nobody will hear you. Why would I want to do that? She turned her astonished eyes at me. Why wouldn't you? I pointed to Cinnamon. If he screams first, then I will. And I changed the subject. Are we ever going to get to this enchanted place? I felt silly just saying the words. Just a little farther, she said. I humored her. So how do you know an enchanted place when you come to it? You'll see, she said. She squeezed my hand. Did you know there's a country officially designated enchanted places? No, I said. Where would that be? Oz? Iceland. Imagine that. I'm ignoring your sarcasm. I think it would be neat if we had that here. You'd be walking or riding along, and there would be some stone marker with a brass plate saying, Enchanted Site, U.S. Department of Interior. Again, enchanted means like magical. We'd litter it up, right? We'd put trash in it, I said. She stared at me with her smile gone. Would we? I feel bad as if I'd ruined something. Not really, I told her. Not if there's a don't be a litter bug sign. A minute later, she stopped. We're here. Page 90. I looked around. The place couldn't have been more ordinary. The only notable presence was a tall, dilapidated saguaro. Dilapidated means broken down. A bundle of sticks, in worse shape than Archie's Signor. The rest of the gray scrub and tumbleweed and a few prickly pears. I thought it looked different, I said. Special? Scenic? Yeah, I guess. It's a different kind of scenery, she said. Shoes off. We pulled off our shoes. Sit. We sat. Legs crossed, and Cinnamon scampered down my arm and onto the ground. Stargirl shrieked, Stop! She scooped up the rat and put him in her bag. Owls, hawks, snakes. He'd make a tasty meal. So, I said, when does the enchantment start? When does the magic start? We were sitting side by side, facing the mountains. It started when the earth was born. Her eyes were closed. Her face was golden in the setting sun. It never stops. It is, always. It's just here. So what do we do? She smiled. That's the secret. Her cupped hands rested on her lap. We do nothing, or as close to nothing as we can. Her face turned slowly to me, though her eyes remained closed. Have you ever done nothing? I laughed. My mother thinks I do all the time. Don't tell her I said so, but your mother is wrong. She turned back to the sun. It's really hard to do nothing, totally. Even just sitting here like this, our bodies are churning, our minds are chattering, and the whole commotion going on inside us. That's bad, I said. It's bad if we want to know what's going on outside of ourselves. Don't we have eyes and ears for that? She nodded. They're okay most of the time. but sometimes they just get in the way. The earth is speaking to us, but we can't hear because of the racket our senses are making. Sometimes we need to erase them, erase our senses. Then, maybe, the earth will touch us and the universe will speak, the stars will whisper. The sun was glowing orange now, clipping the mountains' purple crests. So, how do I become this nothing? I'm not sure, she says. There's no one answer to that. You have to find your own way. Sometimes I try to erase myself. I imagine a big pink eraser, a big pink soft soap eraser, and it's going back and forth and back and forth. And it starts down at my toes, back and forth, and there they go. Poof! My toes are gone. And then my feet, and then my ankles. But that's the easy part. The hard part is erasing my senses. My eyes, my ears, my nose, my tongue. And last to go is my brain. Oh, excuse me, guys, I'm sorry. My thoughts, memories. Whew. Okay, here we go, we're back. And then my ankles, that's the easy part. The hard part is erasing my senses. My eyes, my ears, my nose, my tongue. And last to go is my brain. My thoughts, memories. All the voices inside my head. That's the hardest. Erasing my thoughts. She chuckled faintly. My pumpkin. And then, if I've done a good job, I'm erased. I'm gone. I'm nothing. And then, page 92. The world is free to flow into me like water into an empty bowl. And, I said, and I see, I hear. But not with eyes and ears. I'm not outside my world anymore. I'm not inside really either. The thing is, there's no difference anymore between me and the universe. The boundary is gone. I am it, and it is me. I'm a stone, a cactus thorn. I'm rain. She smiled dreamily. I like that most of all, being rain. Am I the first one you've brought out here? She didn't answer. She faced the mountains, bathed in sun syrup. Her face as still, as peaceful as I've ever seen a face. Stargirl! Shh. That was the last sound either of us made for a long time. We sat side by side, lotus style, like crisscross, facing west. I closed my eyes. I tried to be perfectly still, and promptly found out that she was right. I could immobilize, I could stop moving my arms and legs, but inside me it was rush hour in downtown Phoenix. I had never been so aware of my breath and my heartbeat, not to mention under assorted grumblings and gurglings. And my head, it just wouldn't close down. Every question, every stray thought, from miles around came wandering into my brain, sniffing about and scratching at my attention. But I tried. I tried the eraser, but it wouldn't even wipe out the first toe. I tried to imagine I was sawdust blowing away in the wind, swallowed by a whale, dissolving away like Alka-Seltzer. But nothing worked. I could not make myself disappear. I peeked. I knew I wasn't supposed to, but I did. Clearly, she had erased herself. She was gone. She was serenity, her lips faintly smiling, her golden skin, the glowing threads of her hair. She seemed to have been dipped in sunlight and set here to dry. I felt a pang of jealousy that she could be sitting next to me and not know it, that she could be somewhere most wonderful and I could not be there. Then I saw the rat. He had crawled out of the bag and he was sitting on it much as we were. His front paws, I kept thinking of them as tiny hands, were so human-like, dangling before him. He too was not moving. He too was facing the sunset. His pelt the color of a new penny. His peppercorn eyes were fully open. I knew it must have been a trick she had taught him, or imitative rodent behavior. Still, I couldn't help thinking there was more to it than the whiskered little fellow was having to experience on his own, which might include the digestion of a critter's stomach if Stargirl's fears came true. As quietly as possible, I reached over and scooped him up. I held him in both hands. He did not struggle or squirm, but resumed facing the sunset with his tiny chin resting on my forefinger and my fingertips. I could feel his heartbeat. I drew him closer to my chest, and I dared any varmint to come near. I took a deep breath and closed my eyes for another try at enchantment. I don't think I succeeded. I think Cinnamon was better eraser than I. I tried so hard, I almost squeaked. But I could not seem to leave myself, and the cosmos, the sky, did not come visit me. I could not stop wondering what time it was, page 94. But something did happen, a small thing. I was aware of stepping over a line, of taking one step into territory new to me. It was a territory of peace, of silence. I had never experienced such utter silence before, such stillness. The commotion within me went on, but a lower volume, as if someone had turned down my dial. And an eerie thing happened. While I never did totally lose awareness of myself, I believe I did, so to speak, lose Cinnamon. I no longer felt his pulse, his presence in my hands, and it seemed we were no longer separate, but were one. When the sun fell behind the mountains, I felt it as a faint coolness on my face. I did not know how long my eyes were closed, and when I opened them, she was gone. Alarmed, I jerked around. She was standing off a ways, smiling. Evening had come. While my eyes were closed, the mountain's dusky lavender had drifted over the desert. We put on our shoes and we headed for the highway. I expected her to interrogate me, to ask questions, but she did not. One moment the moon was not there, and then there was. Then one bright star. We walked across the desert hand in hand, saying nothing. All right, guys, we're going to end there. Please go do your vocabulary and your summaries. And I will send desert pictures in the next email. All right, bye.